Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to demystify the hidden forces quietly governing the biological and physical world all around us. We're talking about these totally invisible pressures that dictate whether a plant thrives or dies, and even why you literally can't drink seawater. It's an incredible journey into the microscopic mechanisms that sustain life itself.
Section 1. The Water Paradox.
To start things off, we've got to ask a pretty fundamental question about how nature works. Why do plant cells stay wonderfully firm and rigid in fresh water, but then completely shrivel and wilt when you drop them in salty water? I mean, why does nature react so dramatically differently, depending entirely on the specific type of water it's absorbing?
And this really illustrates the conflict perfectly. On the one hand, you've got fresh water, which provides that vital rigidity, keeping stems upright and leaves full of life. But on the exact opposite hand, salt water leaves behind a wilted, completely dehydrated mess. It's literally the exact same plant, but we get two totally different outcomes based solely on what's dissolved in the water. So why is that?
Well, it turns out that a powerful, completely invisible pressure difference across the cell membrane is entirely responsible for this phenomenon. It's not magic, guys. It's just pure, relentless physics happening right there at the microscopic scale. This invisible force is constantly pushing and pulling, basically dictating the flow of water in or out of the cell.
Section 2. How osmosis actually works. So this invisible mechanism we're talking about, that's known as osmosis. Osmotic pressure is essentially the natural movement of a solvent, like water, across a semipermeable membrane. And here's the kicker. It always moves from an area of lower solute concentration to an area of higher solute concentration. Think of it kind of like a crowded room. The water is desperately trying to rush in to dilute that crowded, saltier side and just restore balance to the whole system.
It's really a relentless, step-by-step tug of war. First, those solvent molecules approach the semipermeable membrane, which acts a little bit like a microscopic filter. Next, they are naturally pulled toward the higher solute concentration. And finally, the concentration balances on both sides as that solvent is forcefully pulled right across the boundary to try and dilute the saltier side. But what actually determines the strength of that pull? Well, the driving pressure increases significantly based on two primary factors. First off, when you have more dissolved solute particles, like salt or sugar, that pull gets much stronger. And second, a higher absolute temperature also turns up the dial on this pressure. So, more particles plus more heat equals a much more forceful pull of solvent across that membrane. This exact chain of events perfectly explains why salt water is so incredibly dangerous for us. Because the solute concentration is much higher outside the cell, water is literally sucked out of the cell to dilute the surrounding ocean. Because of this rapid loss through osmosis, the cell quickly shrinks and becomes totally dehydrated, and this is exactly why seawater is undrinkable for humans. I mean, drinking it actually accelerates dehydration because it forcefully extracts water right out of your own cells. Pretty wild, right?
Section 3. Van't Hoff's Law Explained.
All right, let's look at the formal scientific principle behind all this. Van't Hoff's law elegantly states that the osmotic pressure of a dilute solution is directly proportional to the molar concentration of dissolved solute particles and the absolute temperature. This basically just codifies exactly what we just saw. If you increase the amount of stuff dissolved in the water, or if you increase the temperature, you proportionally increase the osmotic pressure. It's a precise, mathematically linked relationship. And this actually reveals a really striking similarity in the scientific world. On one side, you have Van't Hoff's law, which governs osmotic pressure in solutions based on concentration and temperature. On the other side, the ideal gas law governs the physical pressure in gases based on, yep, you guessed it, concentration and temperature. It is truly fascinating to realize that the invisible osmotic pressure in a liquid behaves almost exactly like the physical pressure in an ideal gas. It's like nature uses the exact same playbook for both.
Section 4. Osmosis in the real world. So we can actually see the sheer impact of Van't Hoff's law every single day. First up, plant rigidity. Natural osmotic pressure is what keeps stems and leaves firm and upright. Second, and this is absolutely crucial for us, medical IV fluids. The concentration of an IV drip has to be carefully, precisely balanced to match our internal chemistry. If it isn't, that osmotic pressure would literally destroy our blood cells. And third, we have water purification, which actually uses human engineering to force water completely against its natural flow.
Let's zoom in on that last point about water purification for a second, because this is where human engineering literally defies nature. Through reverse osmosis, we use externally applied pressure to force water backward across a membrane, completely against its natural osmotic flow. So instead of water rushing in to dilute the dirty, salty side, we are essentially squeezing the clean water right out of the salty side and leaving all those impurities behind. It's Van't Hoff's law, totally hacked by human ingenuity to give us life-saving clean drinking water. Before we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. We now know for sure that osmotic pressure depends heavily on solute concentration. But how does that concentration itself affect how completely a substance actually breaks apart or dissociates when it's mixed into a solution in the very first place? I mean, think about that invisible dynamic for a second. It perfectly tees up our next chemistry explainer, where we'll be uncovering Ostwald's dilution law. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.